And I do like them. I think they're pretty.
Pretty is definitely a word for it.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
It's not the best
like
word
modern
for it,
art.
but it's...
If you ask the pros, what is the best character in the game, they will tell you idiotic things like, oh, it depends on team comp, and oh, what time of the game is it? I call Croc. The only way to determine the best hero in the game is through a 6v6 mono-hero single elimination tournament. That is the only 100% fair way. Today's match?
Kelvin versus Sinclair. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with yet another game of the most amazing tournament on planet Earth. It is One Trick Championship. We are here with our lovely co-caster Kurz.
Hello.
And our lovely observer Uni. And we are going to talk about this game because a lot of people have been talking about this game. There's a couple things that I need to mention about this matchup. It is the first matchup in the history of One Trick Championship where we had to set up a rule. And you see, here's what the problem is. Kelvin domes can, in theory, be used to block objectives. They allow the objectives to not be damageable, but the objectives also don't shoot. Now, what would happen if you have 6 Kelvins, 4 of them with refresher, with cooldowns and duration extenders? It turns out you can perma-freeze an objective. So we came up with a rule. It's gentleman's code or whatever you want to call it, but you cannot freeze the same objective 3 times in a row in the same battle. So that is just to ensure that this game goes, because by God, there are not 1, not 2, not 6, but 12 whole frickin' domes in this battle. So this game could go on for ages. Regardless occurs. Any first thoughts? Who do you think has an edge in this game?
Honestly, I believe that Magician will win this game in a stomp. Magician is an incredible laner, and especially against Kelvin, who really only has his, healing grenades and infuser beam. I think this lane will be an incredible stomp for the Magicians.
And you and the rest of the community seems to think that way. We held a vote where people got a vote on who did they think was going to win this match. We asked people on all ranks, so from initiates all the way to Eternuses, and the consensus was pretty clear. With a vote of, I think, 2 to 22, the Kelvins seemed like they were on the losing side of this, and the Sinclairs seemed to be on the winning side. Everybody thinks the Sinclairs are going to win, and I can see why the community thinks that. Basically, the ability to steal one of the most powerful ults in the game, but with half of the cooldown, is just so damn valuable for those Sinclairs. However, I would not count the Kelvins out yet. There's a couple of things that are very good for the Kelvins, and we just saw the very first one, namely the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is, I think, a hit scan way to secure souls. And as I'm sure that everybody knows, Magicians have one of the slowest guns in the game. The hit scan coming from the Kelvin gun is just going to be so much better at securing souls. And we have seen time and time again in this format, if you get an early lead, you can take that early lead all the way to Patron. So it is very, very important to get early leads, and Kelvin just is a very good early laner too. He has a very powerful gun, he has a way to instantly deny, he has good heals once he maxes out his grenade, and of course the dome. So yeah, I do think that the Magicians have an advantage. I, however, 100% think that the Kelvins have a very fair shot at winning this game. Regardless, a little bit of back and forth being traded here. I am very curious how people are going to build this game. So there are, roughly speaking, 3 Kelvin builds. You can go support Kelvin, gun Kelvin, which is a very spicy build, very good in the early game. It falls off a little bit in the end game. And you can go for a normal, spirit Kelvin-y build with a lot of damage coming from those grenades. But yeah, Kelvin is mostly played in a support role, seldom in a gun or spirit role. On the other hand, Magic Man, you can play Magic Man as a spirit character, right, Occurs?
Yes, and I do expect the Magician team to have a pretty equal amount of builds. I believe they'll run either 3 for spirit and 2 gun, or 3 gun.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be the norm in this tournament, because if you run the one viable build, you're just such at risk of dying to everybody picking up spirit armor or gun armor, depending on what their build is. For some characters like Vipers, it is just so dangerous to have everybody in the game run the same build, right?
Yeah, and I think that was incredibly detrimental to the Vipers, as we saw.
in the holiday game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just a big problem. Anyhow, we are seeing the domes pop off, and there's two more things I wanted to talk about in the beginning of the game. The first one is pretty obvious to anyone who's played Sinclair. One of the reasons why Sinclair is considered one of the strongest heroes in the game, very frequently banned in competitive play, is because of that rabbit hex. He has the ability to make you into a rabbit, and you do not have an easy way out of being a rabbit. You cannot use debuff remover while you are in rabbit form, and it is just a great like a great ability. Imagine now having 6 of them. Even if everybody has debuff removers, just for the ability to reduce shots, not even to like actually remove the hex. It's just gonna be such a pain if you're a rabbit all the time. You're not gonna be able to cast all of the abilities you want. The second thing I wanted to talk about was what we just saw a couple seconds ago while I was talking. Those ice paths are bugged. So it turns out when there's multiple Kelvins trying to create ice paths, they create these weird ice structures instead. So they can be both great because they enable you to block off one area much better. I mean, you already have the dome, so why would you need it? But the other thing I want to say is it can also be very detrimental, because if you're cut off due to those Kelvin domes, you're not going to be able to kill people under. So we're going to see what's going to happen. The game is still very buggy, and it's certainly not designed for 6v6 fights. I love the constant Kelvin domes. This is going to be a slow game, isn't it, Occurs?
Yes, it will be incredibly slow. I believe that this game will extend far past the 30-minute mark, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it's just a very, both characters have massive amounts of heals in the form of the domes and the stolen domes. Doesn't surprise me at all. These battles are just going to be so slow, as one Kelvin is going to replace dome after dome after dome, and it's going to be just so hard to contest them. At these close quarters, we have seen a lot more punches than we normally would, right?
Yeah, definitely, because I believe early game Magician, a very viable build, is going to be that punch build. However, that punch build is going to be falling off slightly compared to Magician's other viable builds, like, for instance, his bolt build, his gun build, assistant build, all these. And especially compared to double rabbit hex. I believe we're going to be seeing a lot of double rabbit hex builds in this coming match.
Yeah, with echo shots. Yeah, 100%. Anyhow, it is minute 8 almost. It is starting to be that time of the game where everybody stops playing the game and starts punching those boxes. And I do see that the Kelvins have a little bit of a push going on in lane number 3, while the Magicians are pushing lane number 1. A very balanced push. These teams are pretty equal. We do see the Magicians already have developed a slight early edge, about only 4k souls. Yeah, it's just dangerous to push against Magicians early game, because while they're not great at denying, they're very good at pumping out a lot of damage with those hexes and those bolts. One thing, if I'm a Magician here, I would think that the two items that I would buy immediately are Healbane and Decay, right, Occurs?
Yeah, because that Kelvin team is going to be healing a lot, because they have several healing items at their option and are most likely going to be buying extra healing, like from healing novas. Those rescue beams are going to be very, very detrimental to the Sinclair team whenever they get them.
Yeah. So...
And another thing you have to consider with the Sinclair team is that Sinclair does an incredible amount of objective damage. I'd say Sinclair's objective damage rivals Wraith's, and by the time this is uploaded, you have seen how much objective damage that Wraith can output.
Oh, no spoilers, no spoilers. Yes, we do film several recordings at a time, so some of the games have already happened, but no spoilers on the Wraith game. It was a very funky game. But yeah, Healbanes I expect to see very quickly. I do see a Kelvin has already grabbed Healbane, which is a very smart choice. Healbane, Healing Nova, Healing Booster even, just because there's going to be so much anti-heal around. And you cannot escape. Alright, how many Magic Men have Decay and how many have Healbane so far? I see one Healbane.
I see Kelvin.
So what do we have? We have Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Well, one heal bane, no decay?
I
Is that
think that's an
expected?
incredible misplay.
Yeah, no, I think it's just so tough to survive here. I would even think toxic bullets are necessary here. Like a very early rush toxic bullet, just given how much the Kelvins can heal. But it seems as if the Magic Man team has opted not to get those. The Kelvin team, on the other hand, I don't know if they would need heal banes so far. They might need one or two, as you always need heal banes. But yeah, very big misplay from the Magicians here. I wonder, like, what are they prioritizing? I do see a bunch of anti-heal. I see DKs, I see heal base. Very good stuff. The Kelvins are playing it normally.
I believe that the Magicians are most likely going to be trying to get that, like, extra early game damage over that anti-heal, which I think is a big misplay against these Kelvins. Because maybe against one Kelvin, rushing that damage over that anti-heal would be a good idea, but against 6 Kelvins who can all heal each other and heal each other at a very rapid rate, that is not a good sign for the Magicians.
Yeah, I think the Magicians might have done the same analysis that we did, where they were like favored in the early game, even though the Kelvins had better denies, and they thought, well, we're just going to be able to finish the game early, and then force it in a situation. Ooh, big parry coming in there. He's at 14 health, and he managed to survive.
1 health.
What a dodge! What a dodge!
I believe that Magician actually survived on 1 health. I saw him go down into the single digits.
Yeah, I mean, but these players are very skilled. They're able to push it all the way to the end just so they can get that last second pick. Regardless, what was I saying? I was saying that, yeah, they might have made that math, and I think that Gambit has failed. We see 54 to 55k. Usually at this point in time, if there's a big matchup difference, this is where it would show. There would be like a 5k, 10k, 15k difference at this 12-minute mark. But no, it seems like the game is pretty equal so far. Which makes me think, how much worse would the game be if the Magicians had not all picked heal banes and decays and everything?
Yeah, definitely. If you pay attention to the Kelvin side, though, one thing you do need to consider is that Kelvins have been funneling souls into a singular Kelvin. We see one Kelvin, I believe, is Connor at 13,000 already.
Well, what is Connor building? Can we check Connor? Alright, so he's going for a gun Kelvin. I mean, like, I think gun Kelvin is very viable. His scaling isn't fantastic compared to other gun characters, but on the early game, those bullets can really hurt. And I mean, this isn't like a heavy commitment to gun Kelvin. This could drive into more support stuff. It's just like getting Swift Tracker, and Fortitude is still gonna have so much power, right? Even if you're not a specific gun character, if you're not a gun character. So we'll see.
Yes,
Maybe he's the designated gun. Is whoever is 11k the second designated gun? I'm curious. Frags? I think Frags. Oh yeah, we have two 11k Kelvins. Oh, he's going punch build here. Punch build Kelvin?
Thunderdome Kelvin is definitely an interesting pick.
Oh, I mean, like, just, I guess the thought is to diversify the builds, right? And in those domes, it is a lot easier to hit the punches, because even if you miss, what's going to happen? You're just going to be able to massively out-heal your opponent, right? So, yeah, very smart.
There's next to no punishment for getting parried inside that dome, unless you're caught off guard and the dome ends.
And you know what's going to happen when the dome ends occurs? Just another dome's going to pop up. Yeah, another dome's going to pop up. So, it's just going to be very difficult for these Kelvins to be parried out of position. And we do see the ice bug path that I've been talking about. It just creates these like amazing ice palaces. We should have a competition where the Kelvins just create ice palaces instead of playing the game. And I do like them. I think they're pretty.
Pretty is definitely a word for it.
Yeah, I mean, look at that.
It's not the best
like
word
modern
for it,
art.
but it's one of the words for it.
It's like modern art. It's something you'd see at the MoMA, you know? It's like you go from being an explorer to an occult summoner to whatever, like a modern artist. Maybe that's what you do. You make ice sculptures. Anyhow, let's talk a little bit about team fights. Who do you think is the better team fighter here in the 6v6? Do you think it's 6 Kelvins or do you think it's 6 magicians?
I honestly believe that changes depending on when we are in the game. I believe right now, the best team fighter is most likely going to be the Sinclairs right now. But as we see the game go on, I believe it'll tip more to being balanced or maybe even Kelvin favored. Especially if the Sinclairs do not pick up those anti-heroes like I mentioned before.
Have they picked them up yet? I hope so. Is that Majestic Leap I see? Oh, we're going to have to talk about it after the anti-heals. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about... I see one more heal bane, 2 heal banes, 2 heal banes in the 3 heal banes in the decay. The Sinclairs have caught up. That's like a normalish number, I would say. I would want to see more decays and certainly more toxic bullets, right? Were there any toxic bullets? I think I wasn't looking for them.
I definitely think that the Sinclairs picking up Majestic Leap is most likely for them to be able to catch up to the Kelvins while they're on Ice Path. Or
that's smart.
Ice Building, I guess.
Ice Building, Ice Palace, Ice Palace.
Ice Palace.
Yes. No, I like that. It's a good tech choice, right? You go in there, you steal the ult, you catch the Kelvin running away. But yeah, because the Kelvin just has such a good ability to run away from all these fights. And because they have so much healing, they can quickly heal, run away, come back almost immediately, and suddenly you are not doing well, right?
Yeah.
Regardless, the Kelvins are pushing massively here, but they might lose a walker for it. No counter pressure on lane number 3. I think the Sinclairs know that something's wrong. They see the Kelvins back off. They're just going to retreat. We do see one brave Sinclair still staying there. He has Majestic Leap, so he just needs a couple of seconds of not being damaged. But that's where Decay shines, right? You're just not going to be able to heal for a couple of seconds.
Yeah, definitely Decay is going to be hurting those magicians if they do pick up that Majestic Leap. Because that Decay is going to cause them to not be able to Majestic Leap for the entire duration of that Decay.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but look at those 5 Sinclairs just walking around, trying to get that urn. Very coordinated. I mean, like, the big problem is that you cannot approach them as a Kelvin because they will just steal your eyes, though, right? So...
Yeah, and they're also death-balling, 24/7 at this point. I don't think I've seen a Sinclair this game that hasn't been with another Sinclair or more.
I mean, it's just smart, right? Because if you're not deathballing, you're going to be isolated in the Kelvin Dome, right? And that's
exactly.
you die. You always die. There is a bug in the game, which is that if the Kelvin has activated their dome and Sinclair steals it while inside their dome, they cannot activate the dome until the Kelvin's dome is over. So it's... If you're caught in a dome, you're dead. These Kelvins have enough damage at this point, right?
100%. Whenever a Sinclair is caught in that dome, that Kelvin will have enough damage to kill him. And the Sinclair pretty much can't do anything about it unless they buy the aforementioned anti-heal items. Because that healing from the dome is incredible. It's especially going to be even more so whenever they get that tier 3 dome, where they start scaling off spirit and gains even more base heal.
Yeah, no, maxing out the ult. And maxing out the ult for the Sinclairs means that they are going to be able to have that max ult version as well, so spirit scaling is just going to be so key this game. And the Kelvins know it, which is why they already have all the heal baits of decays. Do we see any toxic bullets yet from any of the teams? Just to get that third big anti-heal. Toxic bullets. There it is. Right on the Sinclair. One toxic.
Ooh, and we see a second Majestic Leap on the Sinclair team.
Yes. No, that's a good choice. Like I like seeing like choices that I wouldn't think about. I definitely would not have thought about Majestic Leap as one of the ways to hunt the Kelvins down. Or I thought maybe some like slowing hex being picked to combat the the Kelvin walks or knockdowns. I think knockdowns are going to be very powerful in this game. I'm actually kind of surprised. I don't think I've seen a knockdown yet. I guess it's an expensive piece of tech, but yeah. You know what other tech I thought I would see this game that I don't think I've seen? I see it on the Kelvins. Enduring speed. Because, I mean, there's so many ice beams coming towards you, the Kelvins can just slow you down so much. Enduring speed for 1750 souls solves a third of your problem, right? It's such a good tech.
Yes, enduring speed would be an incredible buy here for the Sinclairs, but I believe that they aren't buying it because I believe they think that it's okay because they know that, well, several beams doesn't apply several slows. It just means the Kelvins are building up like one slow very fast. But that is a very flawed perception, I believe. Any form of movement slow reduction would be great here.
Yeah, I mean, if, like, I guess the theory from the Magic Men is that if they ever caught, they can just teleport out using their Magician's Assistant, right? But I don't know. I'm liking some of the itemization choices, like the Majestic Leap. I'm certainly not liking the lack of heal banes, the lack of decays, and the lack of enduring speeds. Kelvins, I don't think they're doing massive mistakes. I want to see more debuff reducers at this point. Actually, are the Kelvins carrying debuff reducers? I don't see any. Yeah, no, not a lot of debuff reducers.
And that will hurt the Kelvins, because the debuff reducer, debuff remover, very good against that Magician Rabbit Hex. Especially debuff remover, because despite debuff remover not being able to remove the rabbit, you still have that 40% reduction in debuff timer.
Yeah, it's the sort of game where you would think you'd even go silencer, right? Not necessarily to silence your opponent as much for the debuff reduction. But yeah, we'll see here. Oh, another big catch. And like, that's not one, that's 5 Sinclairs down. Is this mid?
Possibly. They have several Kelvin domes up for mid.
Oh, they're not going for mid, they're just pushing here. Are the Kelvins gonna get an early win? Are you gonna bite your words, the Curse?
They might just win the game here. This is an incredibly bad position for the Sinclairs right now. With 4 of them dead, the Kelvin's already breaking the shrines right now. I mean, I might have been wrong about Sinclairs making it to the finals and winning.
Yeah, no. Like, when we were discussing, because this is a conversation that we've had so many times. Who is going to win this tournament? I think there's at least like 6 heroes that everybody thinks are going to 100% win the tournament. Don't think too much about the logic of that. But yeah, one of the names that's come up the most often is the Sinclairs. Because guess what? Having access to 12 rabbits in any team fight is just so powerful. But the Sinclairs are struggling here a little bit. Not necessarily souls-wise. Souls-wise is pretty equal. And we do see the massive power of those domes. Dome after dome after dome after dome. Ice path after ice path. Yeah, they're getting picks. This might be it. Or are they going to back and get Walker here? Sorry, get mid-boss here.
I think the Kelvins are just going to go in here. They're going to try to get some picks on the Sinclairs, and I think they're just going to pit.
Yeah, no, it's actually very powerful. This, well, wait, one problem here. They're just trying to force Patron here, but you cannot force Patron against those domes. 2 picks on the Kelvin side. Suddenly it's 4v5. Have the Kelvins overextended here? The Kelvins might have really overextended here. Oh my god.
I might have called it too early, to be honest.
Yeah,
because we see 3 Kelvins dead, and several Sinclairs have their ults.
4 Kelvins dead. That Kelvin is not going to survive, right?
Oh yeah, no, that Kelvin is dead. Getting caught off by 6 Sinclairs. I mean, you're not going to be doing anything for like half a minute with those rabbit hexes. And I definitely think that Sinclairs are now going to go mid.
The Sinclairs might go mid.
Because they have that teleport, they have that rabbit hex. Even if this Kelvin gets a really lucky dome, there's not really much you can do against a Sinclair mid. Even Abrams has like a big struggle with that Sinclair mid.
Yes. No, it's going to be a very, very powerful mid here. Oh, the Kelvins are positioning though. There's at least one. He's coming. He immediately has his ult stolen by like 5 different Sinclairs. And is that gonna be enough? Frozen Shelter comes in just to delay the mid a bit. And oh, I mean, I think the Kelvins know that they have lost the rejuve here. What they really want to get is get that last walker and get that last flex slot that they need, and then just walk into base and like fight it from there. Yeah, I don't think that was a bad trade. I don't think that was a bad trade. I think the Kelvins can easily delay for 40 seconds, especially with somewhat good lanes like right now. Oh,
Yeah,
look
definitely.
at this hidden Kelvin.
I think the play that the Magicians are going to go for right now is they're going to try to death ball on that blue lane, but they're probably also going to be sending 2 people to clear out those side lanes to like push that wave up, and then they're going to go for that right lane so they can get their flex slot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a very complex situation. The Sinclairs are very advantaged though with that mid. Do you think the patron might go down here and suddenly it becomes a very close game? I'm loving this so much. We've seen like close games with big soul differences, but I don't think we've seen a game that's 26 minutes in and is this close to this championship. This is something to reserve for later in the bracket, not right now, right, Occurs?
Yeah, definitely. Most games in these early brackets have been really one-sided, and that's just unfortunately a part of how the games were decided. Eventually, like, especially early game, you're going to have those really, really unfair matches. And I think it's better that those get, like, thrown out before they make it to later game.
We would not want to see Viper v Holiday finals.
Yeah.
Even though we like Viper and we like Holiday a lot. But yeah, these fights are very hard to follow, aren't they, Occurs? I'm really glad we have so much to talk about that's not related to the fights, because it's just Ice Dome over Ice Dome over Ice Dome into Ice Path into Ice Palace into Ice Palace. It's just, it's ridiculous to follow these battles.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most difficult matches to cast so far. I think it's partially because there's really no indicator of whose Kelvin dome it is.
Yeah, if there was like a sign like the dome being amber or something, that would have been great, but unfortunately not. Yeah, we do have some sort of visual bugs too with Alkfire is another big example where you can't tell if it's your opponent's or your own Alkfire, or both sometimes at the same time. Yeah.
I believe Valve should make it so whenever a Kelvin casts their dome, it has like their username all around the circumference of the dome.
Like the error walls that we discovered.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it's just the names of the people. That's funny. It seems like the Kelvins have managed to resist. The Magicians are backing. They know they only have 10-15 seconds left on their mid. A bunch of bolts are coming, but it's... Oh, one of them has been caught out of position. He will be abandoned. 5 will go back home. Yeah.
Yeah, those Kelvins are just descending on any magician they can find, like piranhas.
Yeah.
Like they are not letting the
Lucky
magicians
Shot?
breathe
Like
for a
I could
single
have
second.
sworn... I'm sorry for interrupting. I could have sworn one of the Kelvins had Lucky Shot.
Yeah, that is a Lucky Shot on Kelvin.
That is a big, heavy gun Kelvin with double armors? Was it? At least bullet armor, right?
Yes,
God,
that is
that's-
bullet arm.
Yeah, it's...
Connor's running a really Calico-esque build on Kelvin right now. Like, what was that? Burst Fire Intensifying Lucky Shot?
Yeah, that's like a beginner's build. That's not a Kelvin build. But, I mean, you kind of have to improvise. As we discussed, if you do not play weird builds in this format, you are going to die because they're just going to get all the spirit armors or all the gun armors or whatever they need to counter you fully. I do love how the Sinclairs only need like 3 bullets to get their toxic bullets in. It's just a lot of damage. Anyhow, we will see what's going on. We do see Urn has been secured. These Urn fights have gone fairly uncontested just because of those domes being able to easily secure Urn. It's just a question of getting your opponent getting the Urn all the way to the Urn drop off.
Yeah, and I think the Sinclairs hesitating here might have cost them the Urn. Because if the Sinclairs had just gone in and gone with their gut. I think they could have gotten that urn by now, but they've let the Kelvins really deathball on that left side of the map, which could possibly be their plan, but I don't think that would be good for them right now.
Yeah, it's just a very precarious situation. You have to be very, very careful. If you're the Sinclairs right now, and we do see some of them are just on the rope trying to get that bridge buff. I do think there's like a timer bug. I see like a 10-second timer bug, but yeah. What was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, because if you lose even a single battle, you're just gonna lose the whole game right now, with the patron being weakened because of that Kelvin offensive. So yeah, they're being a bit more careful, but it's a good idea to be a little bit more cautious here, especially because the soul difference is minuscule, only 7k at this point in time.
Even though the soul difference is minimal, you have to consider Connor, who is incredibly ahead of these Sinclairs right now. There's really only one Sinclair that even gets close to Connor's soul count, and even then, that Sinclair is about 10% lower than that Kelvin.
Yeah, it's just a very powerful build here. What do you think is the next purchase for him? Do you think it's more armor, maybe more spirit armor? Do you think it's like escalating resilience? What else would you buy in this Kelvin?
I mean, the Kelvin is really stacked right now. I think his damage is pretty much set right now. The only thing I could think of is maybe Pristine Emblem, upgrading that high velocity, because currently Kelvin's weapon velocity is incredibly low, but I don't know how much that would really matter. I mean, you really would just want that Pristine Emblem upgrade right now because of the amount of weapon damage that item gives you. But we can also see a multitude of other items, like spirit armors.
Yeah, I want to give a counter proposal. That counter proposal is Silencer. I think Silencer would be really good here, just for that 20% debuff removal. That would stack with your debuff reduced, and suddenly you're bunning for like seconds instead of days. Alright, they just scouted mid. They know that mid is not happening right now. The Kelvins could force mid if they so chose, especially with Connor being able to provide a lot of DPS.
And I called it earlier, but we did see, I believe, a few debuff removers on the Kelvin side.
Yeah, it's just debuff removers are essential. If you let the rabbit hexes get chained on you, you're gonna die. It's as simple as that. You just need a little bit of time, just enough time to trigger your 4, get that dome out, for you to be completely successful. Anyhow, what are we doing here? We do see another assault on the base. There is a pick on one of the Sinclairs. Those bolts do so much damage. Do you see that? Like half health immediately, just with one bolt, I think, and Magician's Assistant. Yeah, it's just...
Yeah. So even though the Kelvins have a lot of healing, they're going to need to be careful about those bolts, because those bolts are going to be doing like 1,000 damage, maybe more, because we don't see much spirit armor.
There's the Silencer. Told you. Called it. It's just such a good item. No. Like, I've had many discussions with people about what the items they think are going to see, and Silencer keeps coming up just because if you need debuff reduction, you need 6x times debuff reduction. I have this joke. I make this all the time on ladder. Somebody will call out and say, hey, this is a debuff remover game. And I'm like, when is it ever not a debuff remover game? Half the characters in the game really need debuff remover, right?
Yeah, and I think Silencer being bought here is kind of a symptom of the fact that the debuff reduction stat actually is additive rather than multiplicative, or should I say diminishing returns, like
Oh, really? I did not know that. I always assumed it was diminishing returns. Well, I guess there's only two sources of it in the game. Oh, big pick on that. Big pick on that Kelvin. That could be enough of an advantage for the Sinclairs to deposit earn here.
I see Kelvin.
They see Kelvin.
Looks like
Kelvin.
The Sinclairs are horrified of this amalgamation that the Kelvins have made.
This Frankenstein of an ice statue. I mean, look at this. The urn is undeliverable.
I mean,
The
How
Kelvins
are
have
you gonna,
denied the
how are you
urn.
gonna
I love this
deliver in
strat.
this state?
Yeah. You should be able to melt those ice baths somehow. Like with a flamethrower or something. Or just like shooting them with a gun.
I think we should have let the magicians cheat and have like a Abrams or a Lash so they can just deal with those ice baths.
Yeah, I know, right? It's just really funny. Whoa, did you see how much
that is
damage
a lot
output?
of damage.
Yeah, that was insane damage output right there.
I think Connor there might have just gotten lucky and rolled way too many lucky shots there because that was like 300, 400 damage a hit with that. That was a lot of damage
I
out.
mean, those are all headshots too, with such close proximity. These guys know how to shoot. By the way, talking about teams, we see BBL coming in. 4 out of the 6 Kelvins are BBL members. We really appreciate how they showed up when we were lacking a bunch of Kelvins and just took all their spots. So yeah, the Kelvins, however, have 3 picks, and that might be game here. I don't know how the Sinclairs are going to be able to delay it that much for their own magicians to come back on.
Yeah, I think it's game as well. They can really only delay for so long, but they have 4 magicians dead actually right now. And
Yeah,
they have
I mean,
no more ults up.
Yeah,
I
no
mean,
more
this
ults.
is not looking good.
Well, they have one more ult.
They're gonna have
no.
one more
No, they have
ult
nothing.
up in like a few
They have
seconds,
nothing.
but
That's
the
not
Kelvins
going to
have
be
a
enough.
lot of objective damage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that may be
and
it.
that's
GG.
game.
That's game. Hello, Kelvins. Congratulations on your win. Who was the MVP of the team? You can name a person, a skill, the character himself.
I think it was Gun Kelvin.
Or Connor.
Gun
Yeah,
Kelvin.
Connor with the Gun Kelvin.
Probably
word.
Connor.
The Gun Kelvin goes crazy there. I've
Yeah,
one-shot them like 5 times.
Yeah, the gun Kelvin was really powerful. We were seeing it on our side. Hello, Sinclairs.
I think Gun was
probably
run
it.
What do you think went wrong? Do you think that there was something wrong in your strategy and you could have won it if you did it again, or?
I think
we
we
learned
kind
it during the
we kind of
game.
came to the agreement that like Gun probably would have won us that game. They just had so much spear resist, and our bolts were on too long of a cooldown to kind of burst them down in time.
Yeah.
We couldn't land Rabbit. Our ults were our ults, but
But the bug really
didn't
screwed
have any
us.
damage, so like even if we ults, like they're just gonna molest us.
So Kelvin won against all odds. It was a very good game, actually. I really loved it. The Sinclairs will go to the losers bracket now, so they will only temporarily disappear for them to make a magician's appearance in the future game. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you are a Senator Eternus, we need you. Join our Discord. If you are a fan, we also need you. Join our Discord. Thank you, and have a good day.